and interface to the thing. That website, the guy compares the two amplifiers. Okay, so what should we do? Should we add a 5 watt to 50 watt or 100 watt amplifier? Yes or no? That's one vote. The second one, $500 for the hard rock or 3 dB more power and 3 dB more money. I mean, you know, kind of stands to reason. So those are the options if you want to do that.
Are they the same bands, frequencies?
Yes. 160 through 6 meters.
So the L-craft's not a kit?
No, that price is a no solder kit. You put it together. I'll put the thing together if people decide to do that one. It'll save you about $250 doing that.
These are all no tuning?
Well, the tuning, yes, there is tuning in it, but you got the wire coming from the radio, so when you change a band, it reads the frequency and sets it, and automatically tunes the antenna, tunes to whatever long wire you happen to have. So, yes?
There's a question, who would end up building the kit?
I would build a kit. I may have. Well, if somebody else wants to build it, that would be fine too. The hard rock can't be purchased put together. It is always a kit. This one you can spend, like I said, another $250 and L-Craft will put it together. Any other questions? Thoughts? Should we or shouldn't we? Somebody want to put forward a motion? Yes.
Well, I might ask the question, if one of these items needs maintenance, then does the picture look different? In other words, you build up a kit and you go to Florida, and then 5 years later, the hard rock needs some attention.
Just send it back to them and they can fix them. Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
Well, if L-Craft disappears, then, you know, that's another problem. There'll be people pick it up. Yes, Tom?
How much money do we have?
$10,000. Thereabouts. Brian didn't get back to me. That was the number we had last meeting. Yes?
We have money allotted for any kind of the tower work and stuff, right?
Yes.
So half of that is...
How much is left to spend on the tower?
Hard rock could be used as cheap final transistors. They're
Can you go back to
Toshiba RD whatever MOSFET. So I mean, if you blew them up, it would be inexpensive to fix that.
Yeah,
it's based on a design that was originally in QST.
Right.
I've actually corresponded with the guy because I built one of those from the QST article a long time ago, but that's more refined, obviously.
Yeah.
So.
It's another question? Yes. To get which one? Go for the L-Craft.
Second.
Okay. Any yes?
Do those require an external power supply?
Yes. The radios have built-in batteries. So they'll put out about 5 watts with just the internal batteries. And so you'd have to provide a battery, 12-volt battery, external to get your 50 or 100 watts out.
So that brings up a good question. With the Go kit for the KX3 and this thing,
Right.
should we get a little power battery?
They do make them that, you know, it has a power pole plug right on it, and it, you know, contained.
Together?
Yes,
Should be considered.
with a battery. Yeah. Yeah, those two could go together. They could be part of the
And
package.
then you don't have to worry about it because the battery that's in there in the rig is not enough to juice the.
Oh no, it's not enough, but it would be enough to keep the radio going all day. They'll go for 6 or 7 hours on just the internal battery because you're listening. And I don't imagine this thing, either one of them, draw very much out of your 12-volt battery. So it's, you know, kind of the best of both worlds. Any other questions? So let's call for a vote. All in favor of getting the L-Craft amplifier, say aye. Raise your hand. Opposed by the same sign. Okay, good. We just, yes.
Should we go ahead and get a power supply to
that. Go with the Go kit to support the EA.
You mean a battery power supply? Oh, a standalone. AC to DC 12, yes, right. That should be part of the kit because you don't,
There is one in the kit, or there are in the kits, right?
But will it carry?
not in the KX3. I don't have a power supply in that one. But
I've been using the 3CS now.
Right.
I would recommend it. 20 amp.
Right.
average, 30
Yeah.
peak, so
right. And it's kind of quiet.
they're about 90 bucks.
Right. Yes. I'll do that.
Motion that we send to AIE, make a motion about the
Oh.
supply for the kits.
Yes, a power supply. Yes. Everybody for that?
Yep.
Oh, he seconded it?
Who seconded it?
I did.
Oh, Mikey seconded it.
Sorry.
Okay. Adding a power supply, all for it. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passed. Okay, good. Yes.
Remember that KXC takes, what is it, 13.8 volts?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
As opposed to 12 volts.
Well, they all run on 13.8. That's true. Right. Okay. So, you're on.
Come on. All right, so the club shirts are in. They've mostly been distributed. I've listed 4 people who ordered their shirts. I have their shirts. They need to get their shirt. So I have. Thank you very much.
That's for this thing.
Yeah, do it. Okay, I'll put it right here. Thank you. All right. So I have 4 people yet need to get them. Come to me. Second bullet item there at the end, I have my cell phone number as well as my work email address to get a hold of me. We can work the exchange, or if you've got the money today, I have out in the car in my parking lot. All the shirts are in my trunk. There were several people who missed out on the first order, so I'm doing a second order in addition to having Kathy's shirt fixed. So the list of people I have on the bottom half of this slide are people who have already told me they want a shirt. Your name's in the book. I'm about ready to put this order in. So if your name is not up here and you want one, let me know and I'll get you ordered on this second order that we're going to be doing at the end of this week is when I'll submit it to the Cotton Gallery. Next slide. All right. So the rubber's just about ready to hit the road. The top of this slide shows what we have done. So we're pretty much ready to go, except the 2 big ones are finished constructing of the control cable for the LNAs for the VU antennas up on the tower, and do all of our pre-lift effort. What I mean by that is do all of our assembly of the mast with the antenna so that when we have the day of the lift, they can pick it up and go. Now, oh, thank you. Wow, that's loud.
That's for the PAPA.
All right, so I'll hold them both here. All right, so Joe Spleen, if you folks know him, works down at Main Plant, and he's kind of the go-to guy who's interfacing with the metal shop in Hiawatha who's fixing the rotor on the log periodic. And the reason why that's important is because that schedule dictates when they reinstall the log periodic, which is when we have to be ready to go. Last time I talked to Joe, he thought it was sometime in November. I wasn't able to get a hold of him today, but I'll find out. The point is that we've probably got 2 to 4 weeks before we have to be able to lift that up. So the items at the top that say either need to be built, on order, etc., have to come in and be ready to go by that date. I fully anticipate that they will be, and then we'll just need some help, and I'll use Tim Bush's efforts with doing club mass emailing to let people know as this information gets updated, because the more people we have to help, the better. Our current plan is this mast is a chromoly high tensile strength mast. It's 22 feet long. The mast by itself is over 100 pounds. Plus the HF beam itself is, I think, tips the scales at 120, 130. So just the HF beam and just the mast is 230 pounds, plus you have some VHF and UHF antennas to put on it as well. So my plan right now is to, in the area at Main Plant that's between the building and the parking lot, find a spot there. Most likely what I'll use is the concrete driveway that's in front of the overhead door in front of the Jeep Lab. And we'll set that up ahead of time. We'll have to shim it up and get it ready so that when they come to do the log periodic work, Tri-State can turn over, lift up the mast, and install it on the top of the tower. Charlie and I have already traveled out to Tri-State. That was about 6 to 10 months ago. And we met with them and gave them an overview of what we have looking to do. It didn't seem to concern them as much at all, actually. We just need, the only detail we need to work out is exactly what they're going to have on the end of the crane. Details of how they do the lift will dictate whether or not we can put the VU vertical onto the mast before they lift or when it's done after they lift it. So it'll just dictate the final strapping of feed lines to the mast for that top antenna on how we do that.
Quick question.
Sure.
Trying to visualize where you're going to set that up. Is that going to be underneath the log periodics? You have cable crane interference?
Well, the day of the lift, of course, we just pick it up, take it out in the parking lot. Because it'll have to be a Saturday. They're not going to be working on that tower on a weekday. So the idea is there's a space right there, kind of to the southeast of the tower, where we can put everything together.
So it would not, where I'm planning to set up, there's nothing above it.
Okay.
It would be on the
Not
south.
even the log periodic.
Oh, it
Correct.
will be, and once it gets up there.
Well,
Yeah.
then are we the first lift?
No,
We'll work the
They
deep.
know that.
that's up to Tri-State.
Yeah. They've got 100 feet to that, and we got a 22-foot mast. If they can't get underneath that and then swing it around, I would imagine.
Other question.
Uh-huh.
Mast goes like this, power, or antenna goes like this.
Mm-hmm.
What keeps it from doing this?
Well, because
When it's on the ground?
no, when they're lifting it, because
When
you
you're
tie
putting-
it to lift from here,
No,
but
you-
you also tie a point up here.
I understand that. I'm talking about when you're assembling it
Yeah, we have to shim it on the ground.
Yeah.
on the ground. How are you going to?
Yep,
keep it
they have to work the details, or anybody who wants to jump in and work that with me, please do.
Okay.
Between a combination of very heavy weights and stack up around it, it's going to be a brute force method. I mean, we have no other
You're absolutely
option.
right. A
Yep.
possibility is to build it down low, and then on the day, you slip it up and tighten it.
If it weren't for the HF beam, we could lay it on a couple of picnic tables, hang off the end, because the VU beams wouldn't, interfere.
They're all
But
pointing the same
we don't
direction.
have that option, so. And that HF beam is going to be about 8 feet off the ground, because that's the mount point relative to the bottom.
Well, that's why I'm worried about keeping a 200. Having tried to keep a 200-pound mast vertical without smashing it.
Right. So one of the things I was thinking of to satisfy your curiosity is the HF beam, while Tri-State's doing log work that day, we're attaching the HF beam and securing it with some temporary guys that we can construct all the VU stuff ahead of time, which is easier to store and hold there. And that day of, you do the HF beam as the last thing. So, but good, all good points. So, and
The cables, the LMR 400 is here. It's
Yeah.
down, stacked up in the, so it'll all be hooked up with a brand new LMR 400.
so what you see in that table near the upper right is external feed lines outside the building from the bulkhead panel all the way to the top of the tower and up to the antennas themselves. All those cables are in. Charlie made a good call, and then what I have, you see the 1, 2, 3, the fourth bullet down says on order. I'm going to make those service loops in RG213 instead of LMR 400. Not as stiff, a little more flexible, and but then we're good to go. So that's what's going on there, and I'll let everybody know as I find out more information as far as the actual date and when we need to do what in the days preceding the lift.
Also underground is the satellite station is coming up. We have the antennas.
That's coming up.
Oh, okay. Oh, here we go.
There you go. Thank you, Charlie. Excellent segue. So the satellite station is being designed by the Vinces. That's Vince Vela and Vince Lachap.
Lo Schiavo.
Yeah, that. I think it's Dutch.
It's Irish.
There you go. So these two fine gentlemen decided, hey, let's do this. Why don't we do satellite operation? Because part of what we got for free out of facilities when they tore down our antennas, when they were re-roofing the Butler buildings, is they put two new masts up on the edge of Building 166, along with raceways to lead up to it so we can run cables to it. So we're going to use the ICOM radios for V and U, and we're gonna mount an as-L rotor up on one of those masts that's installed on the east edge of the Building 166 roof. So we've got the rotors have already been appropriated, we have beams that are built. We did Vince Vella and myself previously did some initial testing. We want to do something on the ground to give us a sanity check that everything's fine. So you put the beam, set it on a conference table, go out with a mobile, talk to it, rotate it along its axis 90 degrees. Is it roughly the same? And we were getting like 20 dB on off, so I thought, well, maybe one of the two beams has got a bad connection, so we played around with unhooking one and the other. Then we switched to the UHF beam and got the exact same similar type results. That's big lightning, wow. So the prognosis there was, we're going out to this metal building, who knows what's going on. So what we're gonna do is to do another initial check to make sure the beams are all, both polarizations are good, is we'll walk out into the parking lot in one of our shack work nights in the upcoming weeks and test that. No, not yet. Yeah, but, exactly.
Well, with these,
Yeah, 'cause I remember I said
but
I'm
they're
not sure about
phased, so
that
it's
phasing
circular
panel.
polarized, so you don't have to be switching. Well, is the satellite acting like vertical or horizontal today?
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's our test methodology. I mean, we were going directly into each antenna without any phasing harnesses and still seeing discrepancies, and so, you know,
Yeah.
I think we're just testing it wrong.
sideways to get it horizontal.
Well, we tried, moving right along. And the last part of that is to get the feed lines, which we've had, that's,
So we still need the cables.
right, correct.
Just need to get the
Yep.
right distances. He's already greased the skids for getting.
Yeah, so, next slide. Okay, the restoration project. So what I did is I decided to change the font and the color to kind of make something pop out there. If anybody's looking for something to do on Wednesdays at noon and they don't mind touching a lot of stuff with 4.2 kilovolts floating around, we could use you.
You'll be awake for the whole rest of the afternoon.
Yeah.